Hey everyone, my name is Ian, the part-time Dungeon Master. Welcome back to D20 Sundays. So today's on, I guess, RPG Love again. I guess this is the sequel to the last one that I did. And it's like one of those things that you think about and you kind of kick yourself. You're like, dang it, the stupidity of youth. So, as I explained in the last RPG Love, that I have always loved role-playing games. The reason why I started playing Rogue Galaxy on the channel is because I never played Rogue Galaxy. And I wanted to play an RPG that I'd never played before. So I was thinking, oh, I'll play one of the Final Fantasies. But then I thought, I've played all the Final Fantasies. So while I would definitely enjoy playing it, I don't think I'd be able to convey that experience or that feeling of I'm playing something different, something newish for me. So I was like, man, Rogue Galaxy, I've heard things about it, so I'll start playing it. But then, as I'm sitting there and I'm recording and I'm playing, I'm just remembering back when I was a kid. I mentioned before that my parents divorced when I was young, and me and my brother played video games together, specifically Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy VII, and a number of them out there. We sat there and we played every weekend, and we played them together, and we, talked about how we would make our own video game or design our own game. And then I remember one summer we started writing it down. We started writing down like every idea that we had for video game. So it's like, what weapons would do, what, special attacks each character have. And of course it was like one of those, at the beginning, really stupid, fan games, had our favorite characters from different games and all that stuff before, we'd do about copyright and all that jazz. But we wrote it down. We wrote down, like, every item, how stat blocks work, how the leveling system worked. We had a composition notebook full of notes as to how this game would play. And I don't remember what happened to it. I don't remember what happened to that notebook. But me and my brother, we sat there up late at night. We were supposed to have been in bed an hour ago, but there we are still awake in our room talking about this game, writing it down, how everything would work. And I kind of miss that. I kind of miss that designing wonder, of like creating your own game, the own mechanics, how everything works and all that. But at the same time, I guess that's also what made my love of Dungeons & Dragons, the fact that I could create this whole new world and share it with people, and, they could experience it along beside me as I create it. And as they create it in their own way by being players in it. So, as far as like that terrible, terrible composition notebook full of notes, it was stolen from, all the ideas in it were stolen from other games. And I remember saying this in the Dungeon Master's Corner with Paul and Kelker, saying that steal liberally. It's going to happen. You might think, oh, you come up with this great idea, and then when your player's like, oh, hey, it's just like that one book in the Dragonlance series. And you're like, crap, dang it, I thought I was being original. It doesn't matter, because everything is... There's a saying that there's nothing new underneath the sun. Writing itself is nothing more than a collection of tropes rearranged in a new order to make it seem like it's fresh and new. That's the reason why there are so many books out there. There are so many books that have a damsel in distress, a chosen warrior, a hero with a sordid past, a villain who has like justifiable reasons for being the way he is. They're all tropes, and they've all been used over and over and over again, and that's perfectly fine, because that's just how writing is. You're just rearranging those tropes into a new order when you create your book, or when you create your story for your Dungeons & Dragons game, or whatever game you happen to be creating. So, in some essence, originality is not really a problem. It's more of, it's a fictional concept that we have created to try and make ourselves feel better. It's like, oh, I have this original idea. It's like, no, you kind of don't. It's been thought of before. You're just putting a new or different spin as to what everyone else already knows. So same with say Dark Souls and Demon Souls. Was there already like darkish, medieval kind of RPG games before then? Yes. Were any of them filled with that kind of level of magic and, strange horrors? Not so much. But there are probably definitely RPGs out there or games out there where there was a kind of Dark Souls or Demon Souls-esque feel to it before Dark Souls and Demon Souls was a thing. And once again, that's perfectly fine. The idea behind it doesn't have to be original. It's simply your interpretation of it that should be original. How you interpret it and how you see it and how you portray it has to be your own individuality. And that is what's truly original. Not the arrangement of the story. Such as Legend of Zelda. It's always, Link, he's the chosen hero for one reason or another. He must save Princess Zelda and defeat Ganondorf. And go. That's all of them. Actually, I think there was one where it wasn't Ganondorf, but it doesn't matter. The point being is that in those games, it's always the same. Link, who is the hero of time, who is chosen, is going to save the world from X and save Y. And each game is just a reinterpretation of that same story, that same formula, those same tropes. And sometimes they're changed a little bit, sometimes they're presented differently, but it's always the same formula. So your Dungeons & Dragons game should always be the same as well. It's just a reinterpretation of an older story. At least that's how I see it. And I'm kind of glad that I, stayed up those nights with my brother, coming up with these bad ideas for this video game, because I feel like that helped me further my own, mental capacity as far as creating the Sariskan world and a number of other things. So I feel like it helped me understand that, oh hey, it's okay to take ideas from where we see it elsewhere in the world, be it in someone else's campaign, a TV show, a cartoon, or a video game, or whatever, and kind of make it your own. Because that way you're able to, whether intentionally or not, you're paying homage to the original, but interpreting it in your own way to where your players can enjoy it. And, I mean, really, there's always going to be that, aspect of, oh, well, elves, elves are, originally from this, world, and they're originally from this person's writing, and, they deserve all the credit for them, or, dwarves and all that. It doesn't matter. You're paying homage to them by, using them, definitely. But you have to also remember that in our worlds, almost every culture out there has spirits, elves, dwarves, gnomes, fairies, fae folk of some sort in their history or in their mythos of their culture. The Japanese have yokai and other things as their form of demons and evil spirits. And the Native Americans, depending on which tribe, they have their own set of terms for essentially the same things. The same with the Gaelic cultures of the Irish and the Scottish, the Norse cultures, and so on. Every culture has different terms for it, but essentially they're all pointing to the same thing. And, hey, Creative Commons is a great thing. If you really want to be able to use a creature of mythos, you can, because it's a creature of real-world mythos. No one coined the term. It's like, oh, we own the name Thor. No, you don't. It's more of, they own that image of Thor. The original Thor, according to Norse mythology, if I recall correctly, was a redhead. But not important. The name Thor itself is not owned by Marvel. The mighty Thor, or, you know, the blonde-haired, Mjolnir-wielding Thor that you see in the comics and the movies, that's owned by Marvel. But the name Thor and the legend of the Norse god Thor, not owned by Marvel. That's kind of a weird area, but that's kind of how Creative Commons works, and also copyright works. So if you're publishing your own book or publishing your own game, double check as to what's in the Creative Commons and make sure you're not ripping off someone else's work. Because plagiarism is bad, and getting sued for copyright is equally bad. Because you will lose everything. Do not mess with Disney. They will take you out. But yeah, I just want to talk about that a bit. It's like the idea of remembering when I was a stupid little kid with my brother and we were trying to create our own game and we had no idea what we were doing. We were just writing down nonsensical ideas that never went anywhere, but they still kind of helped shape the way I create encounters and create things for this Riskin world and so on. Gotta say, kind of wish I still had that notebook. It'd be really helpful, especially considering all the times I've thought about making my own RPGs. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next one. Laters.